Is China really the only country left to fight for the future of early warning aircraft in the world? When the US and Russia, two major military powers, have announced the abandonment of a new generation of early warning aircraft research and development, China's KJ-3000 has not yet been in service to lock the world's first status. This dramatic turn of events behind the refraction is not only the subversion of the technology generation, but also the brutal shuffling of industrial strength of the big countries. The United States to give up the E-7 early warning aircraft. Fundamental reason is that its radar technology has lagged behind China for a whole generation. The US Army's current E-3 AWACS is still using mechanical scanning radar, and E-7 plans to use the MESA phased array radar is more advanced than the traditional system, but still remains in the second generation of analog array technology level. In contrast, the Chinese KJ-500's digital gallium nitride phased array radar is not only on par with the US in terms of detection range, but also in terms of anti-jamming capability, multi-target processing and reliability to form a generational advantage. When the US military found that the radar performance of the E-7 cannot even counterbalance China's decade-old KJ-2000, as much as $13 billion procurement program into a chicken ribs will not be surprising. The demise of Russia's A-100 program revealed a deeper industrial crisis. The aircraft, since the 2004 program, has not been able to break through the active phased array radar technology bottleneck. Its core components rely on Western imports for a long time, after the 2014 sanctions completely cut off the supply, resulting in the pilot radar even need to be hand-assembled in the laboratory. The Russian Army's current A-50U early warning aircraft on the stealth fighter detection distance of less than 200 kilometers in the Ukrainian battlefield has been shot down too. This technology generation gap so that the Russian Army's so-called Su-57 radar to replace the early warning aircraft, the argument is reduced to a laughingstock. More ironic is that the A-100 original design of dual-band radar is precisely to cope with the future of air warfare in the forefront of the program, and now the project terminated rather sit in the field of electronic industry in Russia's defeat. China's AWACS comeback began 20 years ago with the Falcon incident. When Israel tore up the contract under US pressure, China was forced to do its own research and development, but instead gave birth to the KJ-2000, a groundbreaking piece of equipment. Its solid-state active phased array radar technology is one generation ahead of the US E-3, and its 14-meter diameter radome can monitor 700 kilometers of airspace, which directly pushes China into the first echelon of early warning aircraft technology. The birth of the KJ-500 more highlights the small platform big warning, innovative thinking. Transport 9 transport aircraft platform is 40% smaller than Il-76, but through the digital array radar technology to achieve the same detection capabilities and has the ability to refuel in the air. The time of demurrage. The KJ-3000's breakthrough is centered on the KJ-3000. The KJ-3000's breakthroughs are focused on three major dimensions. Stealthy fuselage adopts conformal patch radar technology, which breaks down the traditional mushroom-shaped radome into multiple distributed antennas on the dorsal, ventral, and drogue tail, and reduces the radar reflective area by 80%. Intelligent eye-assisted decision-making system, which analyzes the trajectory of thousands of targets in real time, and the air-to-sky integration is achieved through the quantum communication link, and the Divine Eagle, unmanned early warning aircraft. Divine Eagle, unmanned early warning aircraft to build a three-dimensional monitoring network. The detection range extends to 2,000 kilometers. Its gallium nitride radar components cost only 30% of the United States. The advantages of mass production so that China can be installed at a rate of 4 to 6 per year, while the US military E-7 production line has long been discontinued. The plight of the Russian air and space forces in Ukraine has laid bare the cost of the lack of AWACS. Although the Russian army has 150 advanced fighters on the battlefield, the lack of an AWACS-supported combat system has resulted in the Su-35Ss or 37 missiles not being able to take advantage of their theoretical range, and instead, they have been shot down by many of the Ukrainian Army's older S-300s. More ironic is that the US Army TB2 UAV, repeatedly through the Russian air defense network to attack oil refineries. It is the use of a 50U on the detection of low-altitude target defect. The machine mechanical scanning radar refresh rate of only 6 seconds times simply cannot capture the flight altitude of 50 meters of low-speed targets. In contrast, the case of China's KJ-500, intercepting the F-22 in the East China Sea demonstrates the power of systematic warfare. Through the digital array radar of 0.5 seconds refresh rate, with PL-15 missiles, J-20 without opening the radar can complete the A-shot-B guide, hunting, This over-the-horizon kill chain has let the U.S. Pacific Air Force admitted that, difficult to crack. The Russian army still relies on ground radar stations to guide its S-400 air defense system due to the lack of air-based information nodes. The actual interception range is compressed to 60% of the theoretical value. Early warning aircraft of the survival of the essence of the dispute is the combat system of the route to choose. The United States turned to the idea of space-based early warning system has fatal flaws. Low-orbit satellites can cover the world, but the 0.5-second signal delay is enough to let the PL-17 ultra-long-range missiles to complete the hunt. Russia's attempt to build a Su-35 fleet of aircraft, distributed perception network, but a single radar to detect more than 60% of the blind spot, and the lack of data integration. The ability China has adopted a manned-unmanned satellite, Trinity model. KJ-3000 is responsible for strategic command. KJ-600 shipborne AWACS covers the tactical airspace, and the Xianglong UAV carries out forward reconnaissance, forming a full area monitoring and control system from the stratosphere to the near Earth. This will form an all-area surveillance from the stratosphere to the near Earth. The deeper impact of this technological revolution is emerging. NATO's early warning aircraft system is facing disintegration. The United Kingdom ordered the E-7A because of the US shutdown of the fear of becoming an out-of-print Francis. Global Eye. Early warning aircraft rely on Sweden's technology transfer, accelerated tilting of the balance of power in the Western Pacific. The KJ-3000 with the formation of J-20, penetrating control of airspace. The KJ-3000, together with the J-20, can form a penetrating air control system that can suppress the air power within a 1,500-kilometer radius of the U.S. base in Guam. More far-reaching is that the spillover effect of China's early warning aircraft technology has reshaped the global military pattern. Turkey's Hawkeye early warning aircraft using China's radar module. Saudi Arabia directly introduced the production line of the KJ-500. The proliferation of such technology is shaking the US-dominated military hegemony. This technology proliferation is shaking the US-led military-industrial hegemony. The decline of the US and Russia's early warning aircraft is essentially a collision between the legacy of the Cold War and the paradox of globalization. The US military-industrial complex is caught in the trap of path dependence after the E-3 production line has been closed for 38 years. Restarting the E-7 requires restructuring the supply chain, while China has realized an exponential growth in AWACS production capacity through the self-control of the Yun-20 platform and gallium nitride components. Russia is stuck in importing. Russia, on the other hand, is stuck in an import substitution cycle. After the A-100 program was killed by the Western embargo, it tried to resume a 50 production only to find that the Soviet-era capacity of 3 aircraft year would take 2 years in modern times to refurbish one of the sequestered airframes. The truth of this race is brutally clear. Military competition in the 21st century is no longer about individual technologies, but about the resilience of national industrial systems. When China did 230 hours a year of pilot training hours crushed the Russian army with the Red Sword exercise of hundreds of confrontation exercises over the Russian army, aviation darts, bombing competition, the generation difference of the early warning aircraft is only the tip of the iceberg of the system's advantages. The moment the radar beam of KJ-3000 penetrated the clouds, it not only illuminated the battlefield, but also signaled the advent of a new era. Here, the only way to guard the scepter of the sky is to have a continuous technology iteration and a complete industrial chain.